stopped every station that was big enough to have passenger on, and we would go to the restaurants there. There was always a restaurant in every depot, if it was any size place, and we'd always go in there. It was going to be 15 minutes later. We could go in and get a sandwich, a cup of coffee, and that was the way we worked. So Aunt Sally and Uncle Walter lived in Newton, and it wasn't too far from the depot. So we walked down there. I think probably we had told them we were coming. We had written them we were coming. But we walked down there, and we stayed there a day or two, and got a ride to Hunt City up there, and Lissy's. And just a few days later than that, it was right in the, I would say it's just about this time of year, maybe a little earlier than this. But the corn, they had done the planting there, and it turned off wet, and the corn was about that time never been planted. It was weedy, and wasn't any trouble to get a job, so we went up about 30, 35 miles north of Town City, and both of us got a job on the farm. And I cultivated my first corn right there on the other fellow's time.
So you just did general farm work?
Yeah.
A little bit of everything?
Then I stayed in that area and worked through corn harvest and broom corn harvest, such as that.
And you would have been about 20 then, or something.
I was 19 when I left up there. And I guess to follow through a little bit more, let's see, 1927, Mary McCleave and I were married, and I had a job up there for a year-round job, and I had moved some stuff up to canning fruit and things like that. We'd been preparing for that, and before this old fellow he was an old crab that was going to work for, but that's the only place that I knew of. So before it was over, we had a fuss. I had a friend up there that in the basement, and I moved the stuff that I had into his basement because I had made 2 or 3 trips and had about all I could haul in her. And stacked it in his basement, and we went back down there, and while I was there, I had a neighbor that's south of the first neighbor. And he said to me one day, he'd come down there, and I'm sure he come for that purpose. He said, you want to shut that off?
That's all right.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Well, we might, and we'll come back in a minute. We'll pick up where you left off there.
Okay, just make the interview there.
Well, Mother, I think called somebody Bridgeport a day or two ago.
All right.
I think the last I mentioned was that Mary and I were married, and in let's see, September, Marion was born, and Mary just lived till the 24th of December, 23rd or 4th of December, and she died and left us. And I guess I hadn't gone.
She died from.
Formerly, I was telling when I came down there that this old fellow, the neighbor down there, come up and he said, well, Ed, he always called me Ed. And he said, Ed, why don't you, you and Mary just stay here and live with the folks? And everybody knew she was pregnant. Live with the folks, and I'll rent you my land down there. And said he hadn't had very good luck with these renters, and he was a hardened fellow to rent from. So he went, well, I said, you talk to Grove about it. So he went and talked to Grove. And they hated like poison to see us move away from them, be 25, 30 miles from home, because that was just about a day's journey in those days. And so they thought it was a good idea. And of me too. And then since Marion was born and we lost Mary, and we stayed there for 3 years.
And Mary died, what, scarlet? Not scarlet fever, what, or did they know exactly?
Yeah, they called it diphtheria. That's
Diphtheria?
what they. Yeah, they had
She has autopsy.
inquest, and they called it diphtheria, but the doctor didn't think it was diphtheria. The reason he called it that was because in order to get the diphtheria antitoxin, he had to state the case with diphtheria. But he thought she just had he said in the beginning that it was a septic sore throat.
And she was only, how old?
And she was 19.
19.
Well, didn't
She,
she?
let's see,
She just drowned.
and
She drowned.
3 years,
She drowned. Didn't
Was she
just
drowned?
yeah.
From fluid in
Yeah,
the lungs?
Yeah, it was a case of her lungs filling up with fluid. Then I guess it just, go on with the rest of it, which most of you know all about. Mother and I were, Esther and I were married 3 years later. Just almost 3 years, because we were just married. Mary and I had just been married. We had right the day before Christmas was when we was married, the 19th of December.
You are so right.
You remember that?
Where did you get married? Where did you and Grandma get married?
This one?
This one.
Robinson.
Robinson.
Newton.
Newton.
And Mary and I were married in Robinson. We were married in
Got married in Newton. Did you have a big wedding?
yeah. We went there about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We were married. And went back to Oblong, picked up some groceries and a few odds and ends we thought we needed. And loaded them in the old car and headed for Chansey.
What were you driving then?
Model T sedan, wasn't it?
Model T?
Coop.
Coupe, I guess. Yeah, that's right. And
No, we were married at the parsonage.
we, as you've known,
Behind a big window.
we lived 3 different places since we were married. This is the 4th one. And
Lived on started out on the White Side.
Yeah.
Old White Side place.
we moved into the what we know is the old Whiteside place, which is 2 miles west of Chansey and a half mile north. And we lived there 3 years. And moved down to in the Petty neighborhood onto what was known as the old Petty place.
And the White Side place now, there's nothing there but a bare field.
Well, same way,
And the
same way as this one over here.
Petty place is nothing there but a bare field.
And we lived there, and we lived on the Petty place 10 years. Then we moved on down to Ferry King, and we lived there
We moved there in 46.
46, 24 years. Lived down there 24 years and moved to a place we had bought south of Chansey. It was known as the Parrot Farm.
This one was called the Parrot Farm.
I guess I should, in the beginning, I should have told that my grandfather on the McCoy side name was John Taylor McCoy. My dad's name was Milton Marion McCoy, and naturally that's where we named Marion for. And my mother's father was John Leffler, and my mother was Estella Leffler, and we named Stella after her. And we left it as Stella too. We didn't leave it. That was the way my mother was named, and I've got a niece though that she wanted her name changed and did have it changed to Estelle. Because you folks wouldn't remember it, but Jack Dempsey, when he was after he was champion heavyweight champion, he married a gal by the name of Stella Taylor. And that's where she got the name. And so,
Do you remember what that was about the time? Do you remember when did she get her name changed after Stella was born?
I couldn't tell you. Let's see. There was something else I thought of that I'd insert in here, but I don't know that.
People are always asking, where did, do you know where McCoys came from when they came up to?
Well, they came directly from Kentucky, but I wouldn't say that whether they, that's what my granddad said, that they came from Kentucky. And he was born in 1845, and he was just a small boy, I think 3 or 4 years old when they came from Kentucky.
Who was that, your dad, or Uncle John?
My grandfather. And Dad was the oldest of the family. Oh, wait a minute, he's the oldest boy in the family. I'd like to change that. He's the oldest boy in the family, and he had 2 sisters older than he.
What were their names?
And
Sally?
Lissy, and Sally. There's a lot of things that dropped along the way there. And these 55 years.
But-
I thought it'd be kinda nice if you'd give the name and births of the children in
yes.
here. Somebody that
Oh,
was,
yeah.
this might not know when
That's right.
they.
You have that?
Oh,
Hand
yes,
it
I've
over
got
here.
it all right here. Give it over there to Bob, and he can give it when they're, who they married, or what they married, or what.
Who's this, starting with,
Marion.
That's Basil and Esther were married, and
okay.
that's it, married.
That gives the children.
Yeah, Marion was born on 15th of September 1928. And you say that was, and then Mary, when did she die?
60 or 74.
No, I mean,
December.
no,
Oh, Mary.
Mary, his
December-
mother.
December 24th.
So Marion was only about 3 months old when she died. And then Marion married Luella Cotterill. And they were married in 1948 on the 28th of May. And their one daughter, Mary Lou, was born on the 23rd of January 1949. And then I was born on the 22nd of November 1933.
I'm Robert G.
I'm Robert G. And I married Joanne Duncan, who was born on the 19th of April 1936. We were married on 13 June 1955. And we have 2 daughters, Leslie Carroll, who was born July 11th, 1956. And this is 87, right? And Lisa McCoy, born the 20th of April, 1962. And then Stella Pearl McCoy was born on the 11th of December, 35, and she's married to Paul Stout, who was born in May 1931, and they were married on the 31st of December 1955, just about 6 months after Joanne and I were married. They have one son, Douglas Allen Stout, who was born in 1967 on the
That's probably
14th of March.
that's probably all you want in that. The rest of it.
Well, we might as well say that Rex was born.
Oh, I thought.
We don't want to leave Rex
I
out.
had to turn the sheet. I was thinking he was.
Rex Basil McCoy, the 1, 2, 3, 4, was born on the 2nd of December 1946. And that's where we are right now.
Yeah. Well, that's all I want.
Dad. Grandpa, do you remember what part of Kentucky your grandfather came from?
No, I don't. It's been too long. I may have known sometime, but I sure don't today.
Okay.
There's no records of that in there. No one has any history.
Donnie Earl's, yeah.
Do you think he does?
Yeah, he'll know exactly where he came from.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Well, sure he has. He's got all that stuff.
Yeah, he's got all that.
Okay.
I might possibly have something around here if I knew where to find it.
No, we don't.
That
At
would
the
tell
McCoy
something about
reunions,
that.
they wouldn't have that information.
That's where that come from, that Donnie's got, since they don't no longer put it up.
See,
Yeah, you're still using tape there.
Leslie, you had some other questions.
I had some general questions.
Yeah.
Ones that you might have to think about, they're spur of the moment questions. One of them was, just thinking back over your life, can you think of a time, think about the happiest time you can remember?
That's a tough question.
That's a very hard
That's
question.
tough.
That's why I thought I should give them to you beforehand, so you can think about them.
Ask him when he was the most scared.
Well,
Where's that?
naturally, I'd have to say that the happiest era of my life would be after my mother and I were married, and having the family
A home of your own,
and
a home of your own.
home of our own, yes. And
See,
it's
they
always
never
been,
take out for themselves.
it hasn't always been completely harmonious, but pretty close to it.
Pretty close.
We both learned early in life. Her folks, her mother was married the second time while she was still home, and she learned that people had to get along, and I had learned the same thing. And we made several compromises on both sides of them.